So who do you watch on YouTube? You know, YouTube's kind of a phenomenon. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about some of the people that I watch, why I watch them, and I'm going to wrap that up into what does this relationship that you and I are starting to form mean for your son's baseball career. It's all coming up in today's video.
And now, the most trusted name in all of youth sports, here's Coach Mark.
Hey, it's Coach Mark, and welcome to the show today. It's a little different today. I'm going to be talking about this thing that we are all part of called YouTube and what it means to me and what it means to you. So let me start with this. There are a bunch of people that I follow, or let's say I watch on YouTube regularly. And not surprisingly, they all have to do with my interests. So let me give you a couple examples. For health, for example, I follow a guy named Dr. Berg. He's got like 10, 12 million followers, and I really count on him for delivering good information to me about health. I really like his personality, his disposition. There's another guy named Dr. Sten Ekberg. He was a former Olympian, and he is a really successful naturopath. I'm really into my own health, so he has a lot of great information as well. There's a lady named Dr. Mindy, and I really like what she does because I'm into the ketogenic lifestyle, and so she has a lot of great videos on how to do keto effectively, things like that. Now, you know I'm a baseball guy, but you probably don't know that I'm also a wrestling guy. Even though I never wrestled, I love that sport. So I follow a group called Flow Wrestling, and they follow wrestling phenomenally well, and great insight, great podcasts. So that's another group that I follow. I'm also a hunter, so there's a couple great hunting channels that I follow. One's called The Meat Eater. You probably know that one if you're into hunting. And there's a group of young guys that have a YouTube channel called Southern Outdoors, and they're doing some tremendous things as well. And there's just some really credible people in the hunting world that I enjoy watching their videos. So you may be asking, why am I telling you all this? What does that have to do with baseball? Well, I think it has a lot to do with baseball because you're obviously watching me right now, and I'm providing information for you. And I just wanted to give you a little insight today, and this is not really meant to be a commercial for me, but I'd like you to get to know me a little bit more because the big picture for this YouTube channel is for me to develop relationships with parents and their players and help them. And here's why that's so significant. First of all, I've been involved in baseball my whole life. So I always say I think some people have the baseball gene, and I have it. I don't know why. My dad wasn't a baseball player, but I have it. I've always had it. So if you have it, you know what I'm talking about. Or if your son has it. It's just one of those things like we are so into baseball, and the rest of the world's kind of like, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you care that much about a game? I don't have an answer other than it's natural. It's part of my DNA. Okay, so know that I'm that guy. Baseball's been a big part of my life for most of my life. I played Division I baseball. You probably know that. I got a chance to play at Mercer University in Macon, Georgia, a little mid-major down there, and I had an awesome 4 years. My coach was Coach Barry Myers. God rest his soul. He was an awesome guy. At the time, was one of the winningest coaches of all time in college baseball. I enjoyed him coaching me. He made the game fun. I could tell you stories of how he lightened the load for me as a freshman coming down from Pennsylvania, to the deep South. But I had a great 4 years there. I started all 4 years. I was a middle infielder. I ended up pitching some, but I just loved that 4 year experience. And so that's significant that you know that I played at that level. I got completely out of baseball. I quit my job and moved to Germany, started a business when I was 26 years old, and was completely out of baseball. I mean, baseball wasn't even in my vocabulary. It's kind of weird to think about. But yeah, I moved over to Germany and started a business, and I kind of launched my career as an entrepreneur, and great fond memories from those days. But when I moved back to the States, got married to my wife Dottie, and we started having kids, I don't know, Christian was probably 3, 4, 5 years old, and I watched him throw a rock, and I thought, that looks like a baseball player. He kind of brought me back into baseball, and that's how I got, involved again into this great sport. If it wouldn't have been for him, if he would have kicked a soccer ball and that would have looked good, maybe I would have gone that direction. But he brought me back into baseball. And then, of course, my second son, he also was a good baseball player. Both of them played Division I baseball. So let me stop my story for a minute and just say why I'm telling you this again, because this whole story is part of why I'm able to share so much information with you. I mean, I'm not an old guy, but I'm not a young guy just getting started. I'm 62. So that means I have a lot of experience in a lot of different ways to share with you. And that's exciting for me, because I always think, what is your legacy? What difference did your life make? And not that baseball's the only difference that my life is going to make, but in reality, I always say those years have to count for something, right? So I'm able to share it with other people. And here you are. You're trying to decide, who do you want to follow? Just like I follow certain people in the health world and people in the hunting world and people in the, I didn't mention, but I follow people in the gardening world. I have a little homestead that I love to garden. And so you're trying to decide, who do you follow? And that's really, believe it or not, that is the theme of this video today. And that is, I need you to pick, or I want you to pick somebody to follow, or a group of people, because the information is available to you. The beauty of YouTube is everything is out there today. And whether it's me or it's someone else, I really encourage you, as a young parent with a young player, to find people that you really can trust. Find people that you want to believe in. My dad used to say, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And it's true, especially in the baseball world, where there's just so many opinions. I see people on Facebook asking questions all the time, and they're getting 100 answers from people they don't even know. The answers are from everything from A to Z, and I can only imagine how overwhelmed they get. So, you're here trying to evaluate, is this a guy I want to follow? Do I believe in this guy? Do I trust in this guy? Do I know this guy? And that's why I'm sharing this information with you today, so you get to know me a little bit more if you're trying to consider, following me or watching me regularly, because I looked around to see who's providing this kind of information. I was having a hard time finding it. It really, there's a lot of hitting instructors, pitching instructors, there's mechanical things going on, there's even recruiting things going on, but, I think I've got my own little niche where I'm more into the personal development side. I'm more into the nuance or the intangibles that I talk about, in case you haven't figured that out already. And they're usually based on experiences. Another piece of my story you probably should know is, when my son was 12, I formed a team. And that team grew and developed, and we focused on, doing it the right way. And by the time he was a sophomore, we had 21 Division I commits on one team. Why? Because we focused on that. You'll hear me talking all the time about a plan. When you have a plan, you execute the plan, you should expect to get what you want. The problem is, most people don't have a plan. If they have a plan, they don't execute the plan. They get distracted. So everything I've done in my life, I've had a plan, I executed the plan, I brought people in to help me reach my goals, and we started doing that team, and everything fell into place. And then I decided I just want to keep doing this. I got a younger son, so I did, and we had the same success. And man, I blink and 17 years go by that I'm running some of the top travel programs in the country. We kind of evolved. We grew the organization, and then at one point I decided I'm going to take a step back, and I took 2 years off from all of that. After all that success, and we had over almost 1,000 kids move on to college baseball and pro baseball. There's kids in the big leagues that I coached. So again, running a travel program, working with the coaches, working with the parents, working with the players, all that part of my resume. Lots of stories, lots of things I can share with you. So when I took 2 years off, I had to decide, now what do I want to do? In case you didn't know it, my wife's a school teacher in the public school system, and she wants to work another 5 years. Don't ask me why, but she does. And so I have at least 5 years to sort of, like, I'm home a lot all day long. What could I do? I decided to get back into doing what I was doing, which is running travel teams. So we have D1D National, the consulting company where I'm intimately involved in the lives of certain young players and their families. That's called the Ambassadors Group. And then we're going around the country doing athletic evaluations because I really believe that athleticism is a huge part of this. So to have a baseline athletic test that you can't do on your own is a really big deal. That's called the Ultimate Combine. And I'll plant the seed right now. We have a nutritional supplement line that I helped develop that is specific for young athletes that will be coming in the future, because I see kids drinking Red Bull and Monster and Gatorade and junky protein at Walmart. There's a better way to do that, and I'm into health, I mentioned earlier. So that's all coming. So, there's just a lot in my resume that just kind of leads me to this place. I'll tell you a funny story. I was with a high school buddy of mine, and we were talking. He played in the NFL. Troy Benson played for the Jets. He said to me one day, we were together, he goes, if we had been in high school and we were guessing what we would be doing when we were in our 60s, he said, I would have guessed that you would be in baseball in some capacity, because he knew how much I loved baseball. And I said, you know what? It's no surprise. Here I am. I'm where I'm supposed to be. So, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool when you feel like you're where you're supposed to be, sharing information with people that want it. And so if you're here, thank you for being here. I think we're going to have a really good relationship. I might as well take this time to just say this as well, because for some people it's awkward. It's not awkward for me at all. I'm a Christian. I gave my life to Christ when I was in my 20s. And, to be a Christian means to admit that we have fallen short. There's only been one perfect person to walk the earth, and it wasn't me, and no offense, it wasn't you. So we have all fallen short, but we strive to be Christ-like. And I made a commitment when I started all this. I was going to weave my faith into this. I was going to at least be bold in my faith, and I was going to at least let people know that I'm guided by a higher power. The weight of the world is not on my shoulders. So I share that with people. We have a devotional that I use called Jesus Calling. Every player in the organization gets it, whether you're Ambassadors Group, whether you're D1D, or whether you're attending a combine. We even offer it to the general public. So in fact, if you're watching this and you want a devotional from the ministry that I started, go to the links below and you'll find that. We'd love to get it in your hands. If you're a Christian, that's wonderful. If you're a seeker, if you're just curious, that's awesome. We have some information we'd like to share with you. And if you're totally opposed to it, well, we're going to be talking about it here. So I'm not trying to scare you off, but we can't pretend that we don't follow Jesus Christ. We do here. So I wanted you to know that. So at any rate, I'm going to wrap this up. I think this is a very unique type of video where I'm just basically spilling my guts to say, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is why I do it. And if you're here, I want you to subscribe to the channel, because we got great plans to really develop solid relationships with the people that are part of this community. So thank you for being here, and God bless.